and the heart. And regarding that, we discussed certain things that we need to do. And usme, there was a point where someone also asked from class A. I mean, I'm just continuing from the last class. We said that we have to be merciful, we have to be compassionate to ourselves. And then we talked about the fact that only Allah is perfect. And then there was a question on the side that says you are delusional. And someone asked me, when do you become delusional? So the answer to that is that we become delusional when we start thinking we are perfect, right? Sometimes we feel, okay, we fall into this trap that, you know what, I don't need this. This is not important for me, or I don't have this issue. Fala has this issue. They should deal with it, and they are not willing to correct themselves. And when that happens, we fall into the category of arrogance. Who was arrogant? Right. उसने क्या कहा था? I'm better than फलकता में ना तो फलकता में तीन. أنا خير منه. He said I'm better than him. So we know what happened after that. And then उसके बाद जब Allah Subhanahu wa Taala announced the punishment, what did he do? He fell into another extreme. What was that? Despair, loss of hope, hopelessness. So, जब इंसान, when we are, either we fall into arrogance, thinking that we are perfect, but then obviously reality is we are not perfect. We do make mistakes, and when we make mistakes, then we say, "Oh my God, I'm so bad. How could I do this? I promised myself so many times that I will not do this, and then again I'm doing this. Allah will not forgive me because मैं बहुत ज़्यादा गुनहगार हूँ, and I am total मुनाफिक." So the person Shaitan starts making him feel lose hope, and he falls into despair. So we need to understand that arrogance and despair are both extremes. Both are destructive. We need to protect ourselves from going to either extreme. What do we need to do? We need to is self-introspection. अपना मुहासबा खुद करना है. We need to indulge in ourselves. We need to point all fingers on ourselves. We need to do a lot of self-talk for this class. Because there is so much success literature, जो भी मैं आज हम लोग जो भी discuss करेंगे, it's all there in मोटी-मोटी किताबों में सब लिखा हुआ है, right? But how many of us actually read it and then actually practice it? What we are going to do is we're going to discuss few of those things, but if you can master them or practice them again and again and again, then inshallah you will see the benefits, right? So the ball is going to be in your court. Once you leave this class, then it's up to you how much you practice it, right? And inshallah we'll be practicing a lot of things or discussing a lot. Even if you hang on to one or two of them, whatever you like, whatever makes forward to you, whatever you feel you are comfortable with, and if it works for you, alhamdulillah, right? So, why are we doing this? Because you're worth it, right? We need to invest in ourselves, and we don't want to go and stand in front of Allah with a dirty heart. This is very important. We need to purify ourselves, and we need to focus on our inner selves, because at the day of Qiyamah, you will be presented, like I said in the last, inside out. Today, inshallah, one of the diseases that we will be studying is going to be anger. How do I define anger? Restless. It is imprisoned on a very hot midday. Imagine it. कि एक chainless एक जानवर है, उसको बांधा हुआ है चेनों से, शदीद गर्मी है. Imagine if it was unleashed. What's going to happen? It will not benefit the owner. And number two, what's going to happen? It will be impossible to restrain it. Anger की इसी तरह की कुछ मिसाल. And anger is such a powerful emotion that it destroys all talk about the signs and symptoms. Number one, okay, what are the signs and symptoms when you see someone angry? And when you see someone, so obviously when we talk about the signs and symptoms, the funny thing is immediately हमारे दिमाग में कुछ we have some pictures coming, her, he, them. But I want you to also focus that when have I been such a person, right? When we talk about the signs and symptoms, then we will try and understand that. How are we going to understand that? It's like the band-aid. जब आपको कहीं तकलीफ होती है तो उसकी understanding के बाद you understand, okay, like that. And we will do it in the light of Quran and Hadith, the Sunnah of Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and we are going to understand why is it such a bad thing or what is the benefit if I don't do it, right? And once you understand it, once you are aware that okay, this is what happens, this is what the understanding is, then you can go to the treatment of it. Okay, what are the things that we need to do to get rid of this problem, this emotion that you or anyone else around you is suffering? So first of all, we go to the signs and symptoms. We all know certain personalities, family में अक्सर कुछ ऐसे लोग होते हैं जो आपने you just talk to them and suddenly there is a reaction that was totally not expected, very unpredictable and totally out of control, and you just shocked like what happened. So such people with anger issues, number one, are very very unpredictable. और हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने फरमाया the best amongst you वो है जिसके हाथ और पैर से दूसरा believer safe हो. So we need to see, and apna we have to see that am I an unpredictable person? Well, sometimes I am an unpredictable person. Sometimes we do, and there might be many reasons. We just had a bad day. There is something going on for the past few days, and suddenly someone's not expecting me to behave in a certain way, and I do. So I have that first. Also, the people who we are talking about extremes now. Let me just talk about an extreme situation where God forbid अगर किसी की family में किसी की spouse की अल्लाह ना करे child or parent की death हो जाती है and they are not able to accept it, right? And what is the result? That they are not, because they are not agreeing to the qadar of Allah, right? They don't believe कि ये अल्लाह की इज़्ज़त से अल्लाह की इजाज़त से हुआ है. And what do? They start cursing their own life. They start cursing themselves. They start hating their life. They start thinking bad about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. They are very angry with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And you see that they leave everything good that they were doing and they are in total despair because they are very, very angry. And this anger, if it is left unaddressed, will lead to a lot of psychological issues with that individual in their entire life. They will not be able to handle, the relationships around them. So this is displeasure with the divine decree, and anybody who is suffering from this needs to see कि ये क्या मैं अल्लाह की रज़ा में राज़ी हूँ या नहीं, right? Obviously, there is another way to understand anger is what I define as a keyboard warrior. आपको किसी से argument होगी, you see your phone and you have 50,000 messages and you don't know how to react to them. You write okay and there are 50,000 messages again. So these people are so full inside, that beast within them, it is totally consuming them, it is totally destroying them. And you see the outcome on Facebook, on social media, on WhatsApp messages, and it is a very, very disturbing situation. Dusra, like I said, these people generally end up ruining their life because of bad decisions based on anger. Kitni marriages, kitni relationships between children, between parents, between relatives. There was a wedding maybe 10 years ago, some relatives fought 10 saal tak they are not talking to each other. Why? Because there was an angry argument and then it just led to cutting off ties. Cutting off ties, let me tell you, is a very scary hadith that a woman who cuts family ties will not even smell the fragrance of Jannah. जिसकी मुसाफत 40 years तक थी, and वो कट के फुल शराब पे से गिरी. So anybody who has got any sort of blood, they need revisit them. They need to, whatever they do, there are ways to do it, inshallah. If we get the time, we'll discuss them. They need to get back and they need to mend those ties. Something, things were out of control, and now things need to be fixed. Instilling fear. पुराने ज़माने में used to see a lot of people. This was their mode of getting power. This is how they control people by instilling fear in them. We see country heads do that, right? जो tyrants होते हैं, dictatorship. How do they do that? They instill fear in people because this is their way of controlling. Sadly, parents also do that to instill fear in children to get the outcome they want. They might get the outcome, but the repercussions, the consequences that follow are are worse than the whatever the desired outcome is. And some bosses at work, उनका ये काम होता है कि the way they think that the way to get things done is just instill fear. Even some big mouth at home, they are so scary with the servants that the servants are just even the owner of the house, the men maybe. So they are screaming at the staff. They are constantly screaming to get them to do a certain task or get it on time, right? So this is also an anger that needs to be managed. It's an anger management issue. Also, such people who have anger issues, you will see that their tongue becomes evil, right? They are abusive, they are nasty, they hurt when they are angry. And when you are, because what happens is that you have no, we all have become angry at some point. We notice कि शैतान जो है वो आपके अंदर it's like boiling in you, right? You are on fire. So कहते हैं ना चूल्हे पे बैठे हुए. So you are literally on fire. Your blood is boiling and your face is flushed red. And so you are just whatever your only aim is to hurt the other person. And so your tongue will say things that you were not supposed to say, right? Hatred and jealousy. How and देखिए एक होता है anger that what I was talking about is assertive anger, open anger, right? You know the person is angry, but there's another type of anger, and that is passive aggressive. No, passive aggressive is when the person is not openly screaming and shouting. That person is quiet. And why that person is quiet is because number one, they don't have the power over you. For example, if you are a person, I'm behind the desk right now. If my customer is angry at me, right now I don't have the power to talk, right? I will just be quiet about it. If it is your boss, if it is your parents, if it is your spouse that is probably narcissist, controlling person, or someone you don't have control over, or some personalities don't like confrontation. They're like, they don't want to, or they're uncomfortable dealing with the situation. You don't know the person, you're just uncomfortable and you just avoid the argument, but it is unresolved and the anger stays in you, right? It stays in you and it keeps burning you from within. What else? When that happens, and this usually we see in children a lot. Some children are very open about they become angry, they so tantrums. Some children just absorb it. And how do you see it? You see it by them when you talk to them, they're raising their eyes, they're tapping their toes, they don't want to listen to you. You tell them left, they go right. They'll try and defy everything you say. They will show you that they will show you in their mannerisms that they are angry with you. Their body language will show you that they are not happy with you. So that is passive aggressive, right? And we are going to, if I forget, just remind me that what are the things that we are going to do to deal with passive aggressive. If you're seeing someone else suffer from it, or you yourself are suffering from it. क्योंकि we are talking about human beings, we cannot talk about you are a mold, like either you are passive aggressive or you are a very aggressive person. It just depends on the situation because we're all human beings. At different situations, we become different people. Some people have become passive aggressive when they have to. Some people become aggressive. If you're the customer, you're aggressive. If you're the owner, then you're passive aggressive. तो passive aggressive का जो situation फिर वो घर जाके निकलती है, right? If you had a bad day at work. So this we just have to understand के yourself कि what am I going through right now? What is happening to me? And when you are aware, when you are mindful of what is going on with you, then you are less irrational. You are able to be more control of yourself and the situation around you. Am I making sense? Yeah. Inshallah, we will take all questions in the last 10 minutes. If write it down, and inshallah, I should be, oh my God, I only have 10 more minutes. I will give 10 minutes for the class so that they can discuss any questions. I have to like literally go like a bullet train now. So there is hatred and jealousy. So these are the symptoms, right? And there might be many more other symptoms that you notice. And I want you to start, since you joined this class and you made all the effort, Alhamdulillah. I mean, hats off to all the women here. There's so many people out there who want to come to class, but they can't. There are so many people who are busy. There are so many people who have work to do. कुछ मजबूर हैं, कुछ लोगों को पता भी नहीं है. They don't know that there is such information out there, and understand that when you come, this is jihad fi sabilillah. We are all here in way of Allah, and we are fighting with our nafs, which is even harder than qital, which is on the war ground. But that is once. This is every day, and inshallah we will all be rewarded. If you do the khalis niyah, then we will be rewarded. Do you know that you're from the time you do the niyah to your petrol that you spend, to the time that you spend, to the pens that you work, to the paper, to the ink, everything is being recorded. So we need to make the most of this time and absorb as much as we can, take as much as we can with us. Okay, so these are the signs and symptoms. Understanding anger. There are many reasons. Oh, there's so much literature out there. It is mind-boggling. But the one thing that I came to understand, the one reason why we become angry is when the desires don't match the outcome. You expect your child to listen to you and say, yes, mama, but he is not listening and he is slamming the door, will make you very, very angry because you had a desire that this is how he should behave, yes, mama, and the outcome, the reality was completely different. You're gonna knock on the door, you're gonna open the door, and you're gonna start screaming. How dare you do this to me? So the reality is, and this happens everywhere. I mean, even as a customer, you're expecting good food and you get trashy food on your plate and you become angry. You're angry at the waiter. You call the manager like, "What is this? I want my money back." So every time your desires don't match your outcome, result is you are angry. And we can apply this to every situation, to our every day, whether any relationship are playing, if you're what you were expecting, if you don't get at that point, the result is that you lose your temper. अल्लाह सुब्हानहू व ताला जैसे मैंने कहा एक वाहिद एक अल्लाह ही है जो कि he is the most perfect that he शैतान दंदनाता फिरता है दुनिया भर में and he has promised Allah that I will lead astray your slaves except for those who are khalis, right, who are pure, who have purified themselves. I will lead them astray, but for Allah in his majesty, in his kingdom, he is, for him it was not an ego issue because to him belongs the asman and the zameen and everything in between it. So it doesn't matter to him. But for us little beings as slaves, we get very affected. If something doesn't match our desire, our ego gets very hurt and we get very angry. But we need to understand that, especially for people around us, number one, we are not their creators. We don't own them. They are not our slaves. We did not even create them. For our children, we co-created them. They are not our slaves. We are not their masters. We are there to nurture them. We are there to help them, to inspire them, to motivate them, not to instill fear and control them to get the outcome we want. We need to live by example. We need to motivate, and there are many other things that you can do other than reacting to their reaction. I will talk about teenagers because I had to learn the hard way. So I'm going to tell all the mothers that are going to be facing the teens, prayers your way. There are some tips that you can do with teenagers, very easy. Number one, treat them like adults, okay? Because there are three stages to the soul. You are, the first stage is the beginning, when the child is born. Then there is a middle age, which is 8 to 14 and the teen, and then becomes the old age, right? In Deen, you see teenagers, hum kehte hain, but 17-year-olds at the time of the Sahaba were fighting wars. They were treated as adults. Hamare teenagers are still babies. We need to treat them as adults. When you give them responsibility, they will behave responsible. If you treat them like babies and try and control them, they will behave like babies and they will throw the tantrums. So, number one, we need to respect them. Number two, never lose your calm in front of them. Even if they're throwing things around, they're banging doors, they're breaking lamps. And this is what a psychiatrist has to say, that never lose your calm, because that means you have lost your self control. And that's what they want from you. So when you are firm, when you are composed and calm, then you are able to get your message across. You keep repeating maybe in the same tone, firm, consistent what you want, but you don't start screaming and reacting to them, because that's not going to get the outcome you want, right? Plus, there are unconditional love. Unconditional love. Anger will never get you anywhere. Huzu sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he had an adopted son and he would give him a task. He would go out, start playing, forget, come later. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam never screamed at him that I told you so and so, why is it not done? To a point where when his parents came to pick him, he said, I don't want to go back. I want to stay with Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's the kind of a parent he was. That's the kind of a counselor. That's the kind of inspiration, motivation he was. So understand that foul words will only lead to shame and regret. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has, we are all human beings, we all have certain thoughts, but we hide them. We don't want even about our children, our spouses. There are millions of thoughts that go through our mind, billions actually. But when you become angry, you sometimes say things intentionally or unintentionally that was in the back of your mind, जो Allah ने छुपा के रखा था, but it is exposed because you did not control your tongue. And what does it lead to? Only shame and regret. Words once spoken can never be taken back. A sorry will not heal the wound. It might pacify the situation. You can slap someone, the bruise will go, they'll forget about the bruise. But when you hurt someone with your tongue and you say hurtful things, will stay with them forever. So we need to be very careful about foul words when we are angry. Because if you are not able to control yourself, then anger will for sure possess, consume, and destroy you or everyone around you, just like fire. Because it is like, Shaitan is just, somehow आपके अंदर it just goes in and just riles you up. And there are many instances when you are able to control it 1 second, third, and then thought comes to your mind, well, this is the 10th time. It's time. Now I can be the volcano to erupt. So inshallah, we'll talk about a few of those things on how we can try and control that. Yeah, I like this saying that animals react and humans respond, and there is a universe between the stimulus and response. You catch the tail of an animal, a dog or a cat, kya hoga? They'll bite, they'll attack, right? But agar koi aapki dum pe haath rakh de, we are not animals. We need to stay composed, we need to think of the situation, and we talk about the treatments. Usme we'll try and understand, but I'll tell you that this universe between the stimulus and this universe, when someone attacks you, you are angry and then you react. It is just that 5 minutes. If you are able, and those are the only 5 minutes that I'll be talking about, right? When we talk about the treatment, only those 5 minutes. If you are able to control yourself in those 5 minutes, you will become the strongest person there is. A man asked Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam, what will keep me away from the anger of Allah? He said, don't become angry. And there is another hadith where this Sahaba comes to the Prophet and says, tell me something that I can learn from, something very insightful. He said, don't be angry. He asked him again, he said, don't be angry. He asked him again, he said, don't be angry. So this is the importance of anger. This is an ayah of Surah Luqman. Inna Ankara al-Aswati la-sawtul hamid. That the ugliest of all voices is certainly the braying of a donkey. And I put a picture there. So one next time if we're ever angry, we can picture the donkey, and you don't want to look like that. Right? So this is Surah Luqman, and iski Allah Ta'ala ne burai ki hai कि we need to watch ourselves when we are angry, because we don't want to sound like the braying of a donkey, right? Like I said, the wrestler, हुजूर सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम से सहाबा ने पूछा कि नहीं, सल्लल्लाहु अलैहि वसल्लम ने सहाबा से पूछा that who do you think is a good wrestler? The sahaba said the one who wins the match will obviously be the good wrestler. He said no, that is not the story. But the real thing is the one who can control himself when he is angry. So it's, you see, the power within is the real power. Especially when you have the power to react in front of your servants, your children are under you, your servants are under you, if you are the boss, your employees are under you. So anywhere where you can actually display your anger and you can get away with it, if you are able to control it, then that is when you become good. I mean, if it is a situation where you have to take care, one does it. But the point is when you will kazimin al-ghaiz is what the Quran says. कि जब गुस्सा आपके बिल्कुल यहाँ तक आ जाए, when it's just right हलक तक आ जाए आपके, and when you are able to control it, Allah says, Wallahu yuhibbul muhsinin. Allah loves the muhsin person. Allah loves such a person because it is the most difficult thing to do. 6 out of 10 times I fail. And doing this presentation, I was very conscious. So I was like, okay, challenge me someone. And I got a few challenges and I still failed at some. But then because I was conscious, I was able to win some. So whatever you take home, write it down on your cell phone, on your diaries. I just put down a few hadiths here, that who is the most honorable of your servants. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala ne farmaya Musa alayhi salam se pucha, he who forgets having the power to release what? His anger and take revenge, because that is really honorable if someone can do that. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala himself says about him, jab Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mustawi hue arsh ke upar, and he told the pen to write, he said, my mercy overwhelms my ghadab, which is in Arabic, ghadab is anger. When Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, master of the universe, he is able to forgive us at our mistakes, who are we to say that? And we are sometimes, some people are very proud. मुझे गुस्सा बहुत जल्दी आता है. जब मुझे गुस्सा आता है ना, तो जो भी चीज सामने हो, I can just destroy it, break it. People are scared of me. So this is not a good trait. Allah said about this about himself, then we need to understand that we are the slaves of Allah and we need to do what Allah loves best. So inshallah we will take home lesson ये है कि anger is obviously something that is let me tell you one thing which is very interesting, that anger is not per se not allowed, right? It is something that is part of our creation plan, and it is also an essential quality of our creation, okay? But if left untamed, then it leads to destruction. We'll talk about certain exceptions also. Okay, when is anger also acceptable? हर वक्त नहीं होगा कि you cannot express anger. There are times when you can also express anger, and it is favorable to do that, right? So we'll do that inshallah in the next class. We need to. I would suggest that with this class, everyone starts maintaining a diary. Okay, and every time this should be a personal diary. No one has to see it. Make a grid for yourself. Okay, this from Thursday to Thursday, mark yourself. I was maybe a 6 on 10 with my anger issues or whatever, and then because I was conscious, I was able to win this many times, and where am I on my grade? So see your success, right? And alhamdulillah, even if you're able to do 2 out of, the many times that you fail, that's still progress. That's still progress, alhamdulillah. And if you are able to continue that, remember that we get trained in what we do. Martial arts, there is a certain response. You keep training yourself to that response, then you become trained like that. So if we are able to control ourselves once, twice, fail third time, remind ourselves, do tawbah and do dua, and then try again, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will reward us, and inshallah we'll become good at it. Practice makes perfect. Perfect. Sort of perfect, right? We said we're not perfect. Yeah, it's not. It's perfect. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك أستغفرك وأتوب إليك أستغفرك وأتوب إليك. We have, I think, 5 to 6 minutes. The online students can write down their questions, and inshallah, we will address them. The on-site students, we had a question there. Yes.
Kids, husbands, all around us.
Yes.
The main question is how, if somebody in front of us, a husband, anybody, is angry, उस टाइम क्या करना चाहिए? हमारा क्या रिस्पॉन्स है उनको, आजकल के किड्स हैं, टीनेजर्स, उनको कंट्रोल कैसे करें? Yeah, what? How can
you can't control?
But I mean, like, how can we do something that is beneficial for them?
Yes, that is.
What is our job when our kid is angry and he's throwing tantrums? So what is our job there? Like हम वहाँ बैठे रहे सिर्फ उनको observe करते रहे देखते रहे.
I just gave a little answer to that. Does anyone remember?
Yes.
Let's hear it.
Essentially, keep calm and stay. Never lose calm. Never lose your calm, so that they also.
To show that you are in control, you have to stay firm. You have to be consistent on what you are saying. You will not give in, but you will not react to their reaction. You don't react to their reaction. You don't become emotional to their emotions, right? Yes, inshallah. That's a good question, and super we need much more time than that. We will do it in the treatments, right? After this, after understanding this, when we go to the treatments, inshallah, and if I forget, then we will address it again, right? Because this is something that me and everyone around us, it's a very important question, and we need to find out ways on how we can deal with that, right? Good question. We will inshallah address it in the next class in the treatments. Anyone else?
Yeah, so there are a lot of people who, like you said about passive aggression, and there are a lot of people who just bottle up and they do not react in the time, and thinking that, this is not the way to behave, and you have to stay in control, but it stays with them, right? It stays with them,
Yes.
and at times when they think about it later on, they realize maybe, I did the right thing, but it just stays in the mind for a while, right? And sometimes it doesn't go away at all. So for those people, passive aggressive, like you spoke about, that element does come in. At times you're able to resolve it within themselves.
Yes.
At times you're not able to resolve
Yes.
it.
Yeah.
So how to deal with those sort of that's a tricky one.
No, it's not a tricky one. It's not a tricky one. Actually, HBR, the Harvard Business Review Journal, they have some suggestions, and I have it for the next class. And they remind me. So there are about 2-3 things that we can do about that, because we all suffer from this situation, and we do it in the treatment in the next class, inshallah. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
I just want to add something. When you said that do not lose your calm when you take this, right? So when I was in my teenager days, अभी तो मैं नहीं लेकिन जब teenage days में थी तो
अभी भी teenager ही लग रहा है.
हाँ like 22 right? So जब ऐसा कोई मामा के साथ ही confrontation होती थी और अगर कोई ऐसी लड़ाई होती थी, लड़ाई नहीं लगी अगर कोई argument होता था, so अगर मैं बहुत गुस्से में होती थी, so my mother used to say calm. वो कुछ भी नहीं कहती थी and she used to just listen to me and just sleep. फिर उसके बाद मुझे मैं अगर 10 minutes के बाद थोड़ा calm down होती थी खुद तो मुझे इतना guilt face होता था. फिर I used to go back to her and I used to apologize myself.
Your mother was a very smart woman, mashallah. Yeah. So we can learn. Okay, so we have then. Thank you for adding that. I would love. You see, in this class, it's not only about questions. In every class, I would also want, because we are all learning here, if you can give us your suggestions or something that you have experienced that has changed your life or something that works for you, please share it with all of us. And I would be more than glad. Really, the class would be much more interesting. Okay? Anybody else? Okay, we have an online question here. If we get angry and then start controlling ourselves, like not saying bad words, etc., even then we start growing passive anger. So how should we control that? Yes, so inshallah, the next class, we should all be looking forward to that. We will go to the treatments and see that how can we, once we control ourselves from bad words, but then how do we deal with that? Because the feeling is bottled up inside and it has to come out. 1 month, 2 months, both of weekdays. So we will deal with that inshallah also in the next class. I don't think we have any further questions. So if you do, and if we missed out on that, please write them down, and inshallah in the next class, we will address that. Okay? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.